I wanted to thank Josh for coordinating this whole event with the whole series with all Israeli winemakers. Today we'll be featuring Castel Winery, the prominent Castel Winery. We have Ilana Ben-Zaken with us today. And without further ado, I'm going to send this over to Josh. Let him say a few words and formally introduce Ilana. Thank you, Josh. Take it away.
Ilana, hello. How are you? Good evening. Thank you for staying up a little later than... And I know Ilana's not staying up late tonight. This is her normal bedtime. She stays up a little bit later, I think. So thank you for joining us. When you hear the name Castel, I think it just attracts a lot of attention. It's a great family for those of you who don't know the Ben-Zakens. For those of you who don't know the winery, I'm excited to educate some of you guys about the winery today and learn from Ilana, her and her family's great story. They make some great wines in the Judean hills. They've been making wine for a few years now, and they're in their new location, which is really a great place to visit. For those of you who have not gotten a chance to go visit the winery yet, make sure you stop by the winery and make sure you stop by my favorite gas station in Israel and get a cup of the Elvis coffee on your way there. Without further ado, I'd like to turn it over to Ilana Ben-Zaken to introduce herself and tell a little bit about her beautiful family and some of the great wines that they make.
Hi everyone, thank you for joining this meeting. So I'm Ilana Ben-Zaken. I'm one of the owners of Castel Winery. Castel Winery, it's a family-owned winery. My father established the winery in 1988, and we work together, me and my two brothers, and my father. My father is the winemaker. My brother, the middle one, is winemaker with my father, and the other one is the chairman of the winery. So a little bit of history. You can see, you can move to the, I don't see the presentation.
I'm drinking a little bit of the 2019 Rosé.
Me too.
Ilana, what glass of wine do you have in your glass to start?
Same.
Tell me a little bit about the Rosé. Would you this vintage?
It's 2019.
Can you tell me a little bit about the 2019 vintage? What's making it special? How's it drinking?
It's a very, very nice wine, in my opinion anyway. It's very balanced, light, crisp, very fruity. A bit of candies. It's a very nice wine.
Ilana, can you talk a little bit about also maybe how you've seen the rosé market? You guys have been making rosé for a little while now, but I think you guys have really seen the growth and actually started to make a little more. Can you talk a little bit about that, how rosé has affected the winery, what you guys have done to grow with it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so in the beginning, actually the first rosé that we have made was in 2009. And then in 2010, we didn't make any. And we started making seriously in 2011. We started really with a small quantity, 15,000 bottles or something like that. I suggested Royal to take our importer in the US to import the rosé, and they said no, there's no market for rosé wines. It won't work. And I told them, guys, take the wine. If you don't sell it, I'll buy it back. And since then, I mean, it's really blooming, the rosé market all over. Actually, it's really became in fashion, and we were one of the first that starting producing rosé wine in Israel, and since then, nowadays, there's a lot of rosé wines.
It's like three or four times that people ask, can you just tell us how your dad is real quick? I know he's not on the call with us. Can you just give us a little Ellie update?
He's fine. He was at home for 2 months because of the coronavirus, but he's okay. A week ago, he started coming back to work with the mask and everything, but he's fine. He's happy. All is good. He had a lot of time to make breads. He started making bread, so he's specializing now in bread. So I just wanted to tell you a little bit. I don't know if everyone knows the story of Castel. So So both of my parents were born in Egypt. In '56, they left to Milano. They got married in '67. I was born in Geneva in 1970 when my father was in university there. And we came to Israel in the '70s because my father was and still very Zionist. The whole family actually. We are very Israeli patriots. My father thought that it will be easy to be a farmer in Israel, and he was looking for a farm. And he found a plot, a house in Moshav Vermont Raziel that is 10 miles from Jerusalem. In '72, we bought the land in Vermont Raziel. We had a chicken coop, and we had horses, a stable. And in 1980, we opened a restaurant called Mamma Mia in Jerusalem. It was an Italian restaurant. And in 1988, my father decided that that's the time to go back to the land, to farming. And he planted the first vineyard in the family house plot. The first wine was harvested in 1992. 600 bottles, 2 barrels. Since the beginning, he was very serious about it, and you can see actually now my father a picture. The next picture is my parents' land and the first vineyard. So in '95, that's the first bottle. '92. In '95, a bottle of Castel Vin arrived to Serena South Cliff. That is the buyer of Sotheby's England, in the wine department, and she wrote this fax to my father that it's the best wine she had from Israel, and everyone should learn from him. And for him, it was like God telling him that is destination, and he needs to do that seriously. And since then, we planted 50 acres in Tzuba, in Kibbutz Tzuba, and then another 70 acres in other places that we take care of. Today we produce around 400,000 bottles a year. We moved to a new facility in Yad Shmona 5 years ago.
Everyone always wants to know why the barrels are red like that in all your pictures. Can you tell them really quickly if there's a special meaning?
Okay, so that's a Bordeaux method to show that the barrels are with red wine inside, because the white barrels with white wine inside, they don't color it. So the white wine stays without color, and the red wine stays colored with red. Actually, the red is we take wine and we color the barrel. So this is our new barrel room, cellar. You can see also in the next picture, you can see the concrete tanks that we use to make La Vie Red. That it's our new entry Castel wine. You can see a little bit of the winery in the next picture.
Can you just tell a little bit about this method of aging the wine in there? Are you aging red? Are you aging white? And what the tanks do?
So in concrete tanks we age La Vie Red, only red wines. The difference between concrete tanks and stainless steel tanks, that you usually age young wine, that it's not intended to be in barrels. The difference is that the concrete tanks breathe, so it's not completely sealed. and the wine can evolve and mature inside. It's very quiet inside. There's no movement, there's no noise, and it's very good for the wine. So that's a new method that we started making wines in the concrete tanks since we moved to the new premises in Yad Shmona. All our vineyards actually are 2,400 feet above sea level. And today we have around 120 acres of vineyards around. You can see the winery, it's really close to Jerusalem in the west side.
Quick question about the Levi Rouge. Personally, when I drink that wine, I like to serve it at a little colder temperature. Do you recommend that? Am I doing the right thing?
Yeah, you do. Yeah, it's a wine that you can even drink in very hot summer days. You can chill the wine a little bit, and it's very, very nice and fresh. I wouldn't suggest to do that with the Castel Grand Vin and the Petit Castel, but with the Levi, it can be done, and it's nice. It's not a heavy wine, so it's very nice to drink it also in summer if it's a bit cool. Yeah, you can see our vineyards, and you can see the picture after. It's the soil that we have in the region. It's clay, limestone, and terra rossa. It's very similar to Bordeaux, actually, the soil. Judean Hills is a very, very good area, and we have a very good wineries in the area that produce very good wines. You can see all of our wines: Castel Grand Vin, C Blanc du Castel, Petit Castel, Rosé, Levi White, and Levi Red.
What would be your tasting order? If we were drinking the Rosé now, what would we usually jump into next?
I think the Rosé is very nice to start, before dinner, even though you can have Rosé over dinner. This Rosé is very gastronomic. It's called the gastronomic Rosé. So it's complex, and you can have it with your meal. But normally we drink it before, with small things, nuts or a bit of cheese before the meal, and then we go on with the white and then red.
I have one of the number one selling white wines coming out of Israel. It's the Petit Blanc from Castel. In front of me, I have the 2018, the 100% Chardonnay. What makes this so consistent, such a good bottle of white wine every year, and getting great awards and stuff like that? What is making it such a great bottle?
I think the C Blanc du Castel is one of the best Chardonnays from Israel, in my opinion. Okay, not because it's my wine. It's a very complex Chardonnay. It's not it's a Chardonnay that was aged in barrels for 10 months in a Bourgogne style way of making the wine. It's a complex. It's a very citrus flavors, citrus and yellow tropical fruits. And it's a very good wine, and we improve it all the time. We are learning.
I remember last time I was at the winery, I got to see your kids working. I remember I got to see your son there. Can you talk about maybe just the family, working with the family?
The beginning wasn't easy, but I think with the years we mature and we have more patience to each other, and as everyone have his own job, and we don't enter and interfere in each other work. So now it's really, really good. It's most of our vineyards, they called after the grandchildren. So each plot have a name of a grandchildren.
Next in your lineup, after we would taste the Chardonnay, we would probably jump into, first of all, how long can the Chardonnay age for? People aren't usually cellaring white wines, but it's becoming more popular. Can you talk about the ageability of a Chardonnay, perhaps?
Yeah, so our Chardonnay can age for 10, 15 years easily. In a good, you need to lie down and to put it in a temperature control fridge or whatever. And it can age very nice.
I have in front of me today, I pulled out of my cellar, I pulled out a 2007 Grand Vin. Can you just talk about, because I remember your father had a beautiful cellar, and he takes passion in aging wines and sitting them down and cellaring them. Can you talk about how opening older vintages, especially with your wines, what do you see happening with the wines, and why does it happen?
Listen, we drink very, very young wine. We need to buy and to store it for a few years, guys. There's nothing to do. I think with time, the wine gets more complex, more settled. I think the beauty is after 2, 3, 4 years minimum. So I suggest, to buy wine and to put it aside for a few years before drinking it. Even though you can drink it now, it's not that it's not good now. It's good, but it will be better in 2, 3 years.
I want to talk about also, it's the Petit Castel. Can you tell a little bit about that, the blend, and what makes that wine so great?
What I like about Petit Castel, that it's a wine that you can drink more easily than the Castel. Castel Grand Vin is a very complex and serious wine that goes with a serious dinner, and Petit Castel is actually everyday wine. I really like the Petit Castel. Petit Castel is a blend of Cabernet, Merlot, Petit Verdot, aged for 16 months in used barrels. It's very velvety, very dark fruits flavor.
What's the difference between the Petit and the Grand Vin, and what makes the Grand Vin stand out so much?
We put all the efforts in this wine. The best grapes that we have in our vineyards goes to the Castel Grand Vin. We age it in 80% new oak barrels from France. We put a lot of efforts to make, and we also make smaller quantities, of course, in order to keep the quality very high. It's very difficult to produce wine in big quantities and still to keep the quality of the wine. So this is the wine that we don't make a lot compared to the Petit Castel, and still so all the efforts go to this wine, actually, to the Castel Grand Vin.
What is Magnum in 3 liters, and what makes them more interesting or more cellarable than other wines, other sizes, I should say?
First of all, the bigger the bottle is, the potential of agedness is bigger, because there's more contact with the bottle. And also, it's very nice, in weddings, bar mitzvahs. You don't have to open a lot of small bottles. You open 1 or 2 magnums, or you don't have the 3 liters and the 6 liters in the US, but we produce it also. And it's very nice, and it's very impressive as well.
So Ilana, I know you like traveling and running around the world usually when you get the opportunity. Can you tell everybody maybe what's like the last cool bottle of wine that you personally opened, or something interesting that you found that wasn't Castel? It could be from Israel or it could be from somewhere else.
So I had a very nice wine in New Zealand, a very small winery in Marlborough region in New Zealand, in the South Island. And I had I visited this winery and also drank the wines that were very, very nice.
My favorite thing about you guys is you guys are looking for experience from other wineries and being able to travel the world and visit. I know also, I think you guys spent some time in Bordeaux also, correct? Doing some fun experimenting over there? What were you guys doing in Bordeaux?
In the beginning, as my father didn't really learn or study how to make wine, he was traveling a lot to Bordeaux and visiting a lot of wineries, speaking a lot with other winemakers, and the influence of Bordeaux is very present in our wines. Our wines are very French-style wines.
Can I have your tasting notes on the rosé? What do you think of the rosé, this vintage?
I don't have anything to add. Alana said it perfectly. It's nice, it's dry, it's crisp, it's got a good acid, it's got a fruitiness, but it's not sweet. So perfect for any summer day. And it's even good for food. You don't have to wait. You don't only have to have it before the meal. L'chaim.
And then listen, I have a lot of questions coming in also about becoming kosher and when you decided to become kosher. Can you tell a little bit about that story of how it all came about and what made you guys do it?
So in 2002, we have made a few barrels kosher of Castel Winery. The man that was supposed to, that we made it for him, actually, he didn't come and he didn't bought the wine. And in this period, Jay Buxbaum from Royal Wine arrived to Israel and he came to the winery. He said he will buy this wine and he, how do you say?
Ellie was a legend before his time. And I knew about it because I'm a freaking geek when it comes to wines. And as Ilana can tell you, my favorite is their Chardonnay. But as soon as I heard that there was any kosher wine coming out, I ran there and I made a special visit and I said, you got to give it to me all. And David Herzog said, you know what? If you believe in it, we'll prepay for it. So we paid for it way in advance of when it was released. And the rest is history. And in those days, it was okay for them to make certified and non-certified kosher wine, and they had both in 2002.
Exactly.
So if you find any 2002, make sure, and you want it to be kosher, make sure it has this kosher certification.
So from 2003, Castel Winery is completely kosher.
Jay, while I have you here, I know Castel C is your favorite wine, and you brought Castel to the kosher world. Can you tell us why do you love the C so much, and a little bit about white wine in general, maybe to show people what makes
the C so good? The C, just like the Grand Vin, is a great Bordeaux, a Grand Cru Classé, let's put it that way, from Israel, Bordeaux, even though only Grand Cru could be from France. The same thing is true of the C. It's a great white Burgundy. And a great white Burgundies are not just, flavor bombs that you get from Chardonnays in California and the New World. This has got flint, it's got acid, it's got staying power. I've had 10-year-old Castel C's that have just been fine. And in fact, wonderful. So I love them because of their complexity. I love them because of their age-worthiness. I love them because they're real food wines. This is not a quaffer. This is not one of those wines that you can have yesh for yesh, like the Lavis and even the rosés. So Ilana didn't tell you, but there's also a secret wine that they only have at the winery. It's a sweet dessert wine. Ilana also didn't tell you, and I'm just teasing everybody here with this knowledge. She also didn't tell you that there's a new wine that's going to be made by Dad, or it's already being made, that's only available in Israel. Hopefully Dad will agree to give us some. It's called Vermont Raziel. I think it's called Chateau Raziel.
No, Raziel.
Raziel, okay.
Raziel.
Which is made in the original winery. I don't know, I'm giving you all this inside information,
Maybe towards the end of the year, we start exporting it, as we are making very small quantities of this wine. It's the first and the only wine that we have now from Raziel. It's a blend of Syrah and Carignan. This is varieties that we didn't use in Castel.
And there's also one more secret project, which I've been urging Dad to do for years, which I'm not going to talk about, but I'm just going to let everybody know there's another secret project, right?
Right, but we will wait with that.
Some people want to know if you're making organic wines.
No, organic, we are not planning to do organic, but we are really working now in the vineyards with biodynamic, but not organic.
Okay, another question. Someone asked the Rosé and the La Vie white. They said white, so I'm not sure if they mean the La Vie white or the Castel, the C Blanc. But the C Blanc we already talked about has aging potential. The Rosé and the white, what's the shelf life on those?
So Rosé, I think the shelf life is maximum 3 years, and the same goes to the La Vie white.
I'll read the question. When you say 3 to 4 years of cellaring before opening, is that from the vintage statement or from the release date? Because often we get things a little bit after they're released.
Okay, from the vintage time.
Okay. Would the Petit Castel age as well as the Castel Grand Vin is another question we have.
I think the Petit Castel age nicely for between 8 to 12 years, and I think the Grand Vin can age more than that.
Another question is, what do you feel, I mean, maybe this is going to be a hard question for you to answer, but what do you feel is the best wine for the best price that you guys offer?
Oh, I think all of our wines are in the best price. They are in good price. I don't think they're overpriced. None of them.
And could you talk to me a little bit about the sulfites? Do you produce anything with lower sulfites, no sulfites? You try to avoid it?
We are not avoiding. We cannot avoid it. If we avoid it, it will be a natural wine. No, but without the sulfite, the wine cannot age. So we are trying to use the lowest quantity that's possible, but we still use it.
May I ask where the name Castel came from?
Of course, yeah, I didn't mention it. Next to Vermont Raziel, to the winery, to Yad Hashmona, there is a crusade that named Castel. So we named the winery after it because it's very close to the winery. So that's Castel. You probably, if you've been visiting Israel, you probably saw the sign when you go uphill to Jerusalem. It's on the right side. There is a crusade that's called Castel.
Do you offer regular tours and tastings at the winery?
Of course, yeah. You can schedule a tour, and you're welcome to come. It's very, very nice.